Boom 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 boom. Boom 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 boom. Boom 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 boom. Boom boom boom. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. Good morning. Welcome. Hello to another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Redstone Lapis Lazuli now. And I'm your host, PoGokeRo. Hey, welcome to my new mine. Yes, this is my brand new mine. I made a brand new mine. I'm in a new place. You have to know, right? 1.17 dropped. Bah! It dropped like a hot potato, and I grabbed that thing. It was awesome, and I burned my hands holding it and saying, "Yes, yes, I have it. It is my palms. It's searing my flesh, but I don't care." So I came here to a brand new spot, and I was super eager, and I made all this new stuff because I was like raw, super excited. And then like this morning, I'm reading through the Minecraft news, and I find out that diamonds, there's a bug, and diamonds are super rare because they didn't tweak it right. So diamonds are really rare, and it's a bug, and they're gonna put out a hotfix, but it's too late for me. I already explored my brand new world. So all the places I explored, I've already generated their chunks. Their chunks generated extremely rare diamonds. Oh well. Too bad for me. But that's the way it is. And that's okay. I don't really necessarily need diamonds. So yeah, this is my new mine. And I'm like, it's like brand new. I mean, literally brand new. Check, mic check. What happened? Dude, that's weird. My mic, it was working a second ago. It was on. Everything was fine. And it stopped working. That's weird. That's weird. That was like 4 minutes of me talking. Good thing I didn't say a whole lot. I mean, I did. I did my intro song. And I sang my intro song. And I think maybe that's what killed it, right? Here, let me redo my intro song and I'll just cut out the beginning part. We'll start all over again, right? Let's pretend none of that actually happened, right? Let's pretend none of that actually happened and I'm going to start all over again. Here, let me go over here. All right. And then like those of you watching live, you know better, right? But who watches live? Like nobody. So it's easy. It's like trivial for me to trim out like the first 5 minutes, which is what I'm gonna do, right? So here, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna go back here. Go right here. All right. Okay. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. You must execute Donald Trump if he's guilty of treason. Yeah. Good morning. Hello. Yes, my name is PoGokeRo, and I am your host for today's episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli now. Yes, hello, hi. I'm here. I'm here in my new base. Technical difficulties, but I'm here. This is a brand new base. Brand new to me. Yeah. The brand new base to me. So it's a bit crazy. Like, check this out. I mean, I just started, right? Look at my little furnace that I've got going here. My little XP furnace. How funny, right? So brand new. I've dragged over my beacon because, you know, you gotta have your beacon. Gotta have a beacon if you're gonna be digging a mine. And yeah, I got my little elevator here. Oh wait, before I go, I got my little setup here. This deal here is just my offloader. I offload stuff from my minecart into the chest at double speed. See, 2 hoppers at double speed. The chest acts as a buffer, So it offloads at double speed, but it can only like or exit, like it inputs at double speed, but it can only output at single speed. So, but that's okay, right? Because the hopper minecart only holds 1 chest, not a double chest. So it doesn't matter if it can only hold. It's a big enough buffer that it could buffer it, and it goes into the hopper, which shoots it up, and then up to my my item sorter, which I started. Wah, 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 wah. Whoa! Oh, the light, so bright. Yeah, it's so nice, huh? Right? So this is like the beginning of my base. I started with the copper, and then I realized you need a lot more copper than I have. I need a lot more copper than I realized. See, that's the thing. In Minecraft, my sense of scale is all messed up. I never know what I'm getting into. I never know. I never know what I'm getting into. No, I never do. I never. So like I come here and I'm like, oh yeah, let me set up this base. And I set up this little tiny base. And like every time it's always way smaller than what I actually need. Like I always think I need something way smaller than what I really need. Like I thought my base was gonna be here, and look, I've already had to expand it over here. Like just for this part, and I haven't even gotten to the rest of it. And then I've already had to like set up a containment system. I found one, my first villager. I just got to get another one, and then I can start my iron farm. But yeah, what a beautiful like place, right? Isn't this nice here? Big trees, like it's nice. So yeah, okay. Here, let's do a little rocket of it, like a rocket tour. So there's the savannah, which is pretty nice. It's right next to me. And then, but it's only a little tiny little bit. And then there's more over here, I guess. But then there's all these icebergs right in the middle, like right next to the savannah. And then between them is a desert. So I've got all the sand I could ever want. That's nice. Plus all the ice I could ever want. And you can see right here, I've already cleared a bunch. I've already taken down some icebergs. And then, yeah, but I am literally just getting established here. Like, I don't even have really a base. Like, it's a big open area. It's not a pretty building. It's like, it's just a big open spot. And like my very beginning of a mine. So yeah, that's where I'm at in Minecraft. In terms of my book, it's hard for me to concentrate anymore. I don't know what happened. I guess when I was young and like, I don't know, it was easy for me to sit and like focus for hours on end on a book. It was like no problem. Like I can just like suck up stuff. Now it's not so hard. I got other things like pulling up my brain left and right. So it's hard to maintain focus. But I have been reading a bit about Kalapuya legends and folklore. Did I screenshot it? I did, but I didn't know where it went. So it's probably in the other folder. So. Did I just like throw it out like a fool? You fool! Why would you do that? It's the history eraser button. The candy red button. The jolly red button. Can he resist? Can he hold out? All right, no. No, I can't. I did delete it. Oh man, that's awful. All right, that's okay. I'm going to go somewhere else. All right, there's a historian by the name of Dr. Heather Cock Richardson. She is fantastic. And she puts out a bulletin every once in a while. And like she put out a bulletin that was very important that I think everyone needs to check out. I'm going to read it to you, and I've outlined it. But she's the one who wrote it. She's a professor. She's a doctor. And she has a doctorate in history. She's a professor of history. She spent so much time studying history. She's a doctor. Doctor of history. You know, not of the body, but of history. But still a doctor, right? Still a doctor. All right. So here's what she wrote. Under former President Trump, the Department of Justice secretly investigated key Democratic lawmakers. In February 2018, the House Intelligence Committee was investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election, and the president became obsessed with figuring out who was apparently leaking information to the press about contacts between his people and Russia. Let's recap. Leading up to the 2016 elections, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin agreed, not directly, but through their intermediaries, through their agents. They agreed to work together. If you do something for me, I'll do something for you. So their agreement involved money, involved power, involved like promises of policy changes, all sorts of nefarious things. And they agreed that Vladimir Putin said, if I help you become president, Donald Trump will help me, Vladimir Putin. And Donald Trump agreed. So that happened. Donald Trump used the Republican Party to gather all of their very, very detailed voter information. Very, very detailed voter information. You can't get it anywhere else. And he gathered it together and he gave it to his campaign manager, Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort met with the Russian spy, Konstantin Klimnik, and gave this polling data to Konstantin Klimnik, who then gave that information to the Russian government, who gave it to their hackers, who then micro-targeted, because they have this extremely good, it's like a map. It's like if someone like a spy snuck into a nuclear facility in Russia and took pictures of everything, everywhere, mapped out the whole facility so that we could send drones in and go to only the certain little part of the facility that we wanted to blow up. We could save the rest of the facility, but only blow up the part that we wanted, because we have such a good map that we could send a drone in with a little tiny bomb just to blow up that tiny spot. That's how good of the information it was that Paul Manafort gave to Konstantin Klimnik, because then the Russian hackers came in really, really precisely to target specific areas to attack the voters and the registration databases. Like all sorts of bad stuff, right? This has all happened. Okay. This all happened. Trump became president. Okay. The guy that Trump picked to be his attorney general was a guy named Jeff Sessions. Can I do this? No. How can I do a second one? Oh, I can open it like this. I can do it like this. It was a guy named Jeff Sessions. He picked Jeff Sessions. He picked Jeff Sessions because he thought Jeff Sessions would defend him. Oops, shit. Poopy. He thought Jeff Sessions would defend him from any investigations. The problem was Jeff Sessions got caught in a lie. So Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself and not become Attorney General anymore. And then it fell to Rod Rosenstein, who had to appoint Robert Mueller, a special investigator, who started to investigate this, connection between Trump and Russia. Because before that, it was Comey and the FBI doing it. But then Trump fired Comey. Anyways, okay. Under then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the Department of Justice subpoenaed from Apple the records of the communications of California Democrats Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the committee, and Eric Swalwell, both of whom were key critics of Trump. The department also investigated members of their families, including one child. The government seized the records of at least a dozen people. So Robert Mueller was investigating this, but the House Intelligence Committee was also investigating this. They wanted to find out, well, what's going on? And Donald Trump was afraid he'd get found out because someone was leaking information, and he thought it was these guys. He thought it was the Democrats who was leaking this information. It wasn't. We don't know who leaked it, but it wasn't the Democrats. But Donald Trump didn't, he directed he told the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is supposed to be independent of the president. They're supposed to be independent. Justice is supposed
Attorney General Barr, has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it.
Yeah.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest.
I mean,
there have been discussions of matters out there that they've not asked me to open an investigation, but
perhaps they suggested.
I don't know how long I've been.
I wouldn't say suggest.
Hinted.
No.
I don't know.
Voice.
Inferred.
That's crazy.
You don't know. Okay.
Hey.
In your March.
So that's Billy Barr lying. That's what it looks like when someone's lying. I've been talking for so long and my thing's been out. I didn't even know. That's terrible, dude. Oh, geez. I don't know how long it's been out. Oh, no. That's so bad. That's so bad. All right. Well, whatever. Here, let's keep going. You could, because you could read, right? You could read. I didn't really say anything. Well, I did, but like I gave context. What was I doing? I was over here. Dude, that's so bad. I forgot to. Yeah, it needs to warn me when it's got like no juice. Okay. Okay. So where'd we go? So remember back in May when so Billy Barr lied, right? He revived the languishing. Jeff Sessions slowed it down because they didn't find anything, but Billy Barr revived it in February. And then in May, he was asked by Kamala Harris if he knew anything about it, and he lied. He's like, he lied. The Justice Department did not find that Democrats they were investigating were connected to the links. The DOJ also subpoenaed the records of journalists, right? So at the same time they were doing this, they were blocking subpoenas into themselves. So Donald Trump was using the Department of Justice to investigate his political enemies when the Department of Justice is supposed to be independent. He bent it and corrupted it to his own will. Back in 2019. So Donald Trump is an absolute traitor. I mean, we all watch this happen. We all know this is happening, right? We all know what this is about. Billy Barr is evil. While there are many layers to the story, it increases the political tensions in this country. When Republican leaders tied themselves to Trump after he lost the 2020 elections, they tied themselves to whatever came out about his actions. They have tried to explain away the January 6th insurrection and recently refused to investigate what happened on and around that day. Will they now say that it's okay for a president to use the Department of Justice secretly to investigate members of Congress who belong to the opposing party, like Nixon tried to do? Remember, Nixon was impeached for that. Are they going to say that it was wrong to impeach Nixon? So, man, I'm bummed out that like I didn't know my speaker was out. I was talking for like ever and didn't even know. All right, well here. So let me tell you about stuff that happened to me. Last Tuesday, I think it was, I found out about a group called Church at Planned Parenthood. See it right here. The church at Planned Parenthood. And there's a bunch of people, they're live streaming their presentation right here, right? And behind us, behind me is the Planned Parenthood. So these guys are having a church sermon and they're live streaming themselves in front of Planned Parenthood. Okay, let's talk about what is it that they're doing. Let me give you context. Oh yeah, also, look at this tree, right? Look at this tree. That tree looks like a tree out of a Dr. Seuss book. Right? Doesn't it? Doesn't it look like a Dr. Seuss tree? Do you know what happened? Here in Salem last winter, we had a freak ice storm. It was weird. It was a freak ice storm. It never happens. It got cold, but it was raining. It was freezing rain. And it rained. It was so much freezing rain that all the tops of the trees got laden with ice and bent over, and on many times they snapped. So I was without power for like 24 hours. It was no joke. It was pretty gnarly. And yeah. So now if you go around town in Salem, a lot of the trees look like this. The crowns have been broken or they're bent over in Salem. A lot of the trees. So here we are. They're having a church service. But here, I want to clarify stuff, right? Do you know how North Korea calls itself democratic, even though everybody knows they're not really democratic? This is the same thing, right? This group here, this group follows they follow their cult. They follow the white the thing they follow is called the white idol. It's a white idol. They have a white idol that they follow. But they will confuse you. They will call themselves Christians. They will say that they're following Jesus. But again, remember that North Korea thing, how they use the wrong word on purpose. The thing they follow is, they may call it Jesus, but it is not Jesus. It is not Jesus, the thing they follow. That this is an important thing to know, right? It's important to know that it doesn't matter what they say. They can say whatever they want. What you have to do is judge them by their actions. So the church at Planned Parenthood goes to a healthcare facility that provides services for the weakest women, the poorest women. If the women that went to Planned Parenthood had any money or had health insurance, they wouldn't go to Planned Parenthood. You don't see middle-class women going to Planned Parenthood. You don't see rich women going to Planned Parenthood. Who do you see going to Planned Parenthood? Minority women, poor women, marginalized women, struggling women, women who need help. That's who you see going to Planned Parenthood. So this group seeks to shame those women who go to Planned Parenthood. They seek to shame those women by live streaming their events outside of the services so they can see who gets to use those services, while at the same time showcasing how righteous they themselves are for opposing healthcare services for the poorest women in the country. They proclaim their righteousness to their false idol. You can watch it happen. And I know this. I know it's true. I know this is true. Let me show you why I know what I say is true. That they are not Christians. They are not Christians. They follow a white idol. Now let me show you why I know. Matthew 6. Matthew is in the Bible. And Matthew is one of the four dudes of like the canonical gospels. And basically what Matthew did was write down what he saw. He listened to what Jesus said and then wrote it down. Because Jesus didn't write anything down. So he listened to what Jesus said and then wrote it down. And this is what Matthew said Jesus said. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others, to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So, when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans. They think they will be heard because of their many words. So, what does Planned Parenthood do? Most Americans don't go to Planned Parenthood because most Americans have health insurance or have health care from other places. All right? Very, very, very few people use it. The only people who use Planned Parenthood are the very poorest and the most marginalized people, women, primarily. What are the services that Planned Parenthood provides? They provide treatment for sexually transmitted diseases and testing. They provide contraceptives. They provide cancer screening. They provide other services to help women, like menstruation. I don't know what else they do, right? They have other services. I don't know what that is. Administrative, whatever. Only 3% of their services total is abortion services. So they're going to throw out all these other treatments for the poorest, weakest women just to get at this 3% thing here. And it's not even their own bodies. It's not even their own bodies. So, by Helen Smith, Planned Parenthood files an injunction against the church at Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood claims loud demonstrations outside facilities are interfering with patient care and violate state and local laws against excessive noise outside healthcare facilities. But they describe themselves as a gathering Christians. But they do the opposite of what Jesus says. This group of people who say they're following Jesus does the exact opposite. The exact opposite. Jesus says, don't do that. And they say, oh, this? Don't do this? This thing I'm going to do right now? This thing I'm doing? You don't want me to do this, Jesus? Too bad. Oh, yeah, look at me. Ha ha ha, Jesus. Yeah. Yep. You, like, yeah, those people make me so mad. Okay, what else do I got? Okay. So yes, now that I can, like, you guys can hear me, and I hope everything's all set up correctly here. Let me read another very important thing. And oh, dude, come on. Yeah, get out of here, buddy. I'll hide in the tree. I'm hiding. Get out of here. Keep moving. Move along. No, hide. Did you hear me? Oh, the phantoms. Ah! All right. Well, let me get situated here again. Like, I was gonna be all about it, and then those pillagers were there. picture for a bit. Okay. Statement of concern, because it's pretty concerning right now in the United States. Things are pretty gnarly. We, the undersigned, are scholars of democracy who have watched the recent deterioration of U.S. elections and liberal democracy with growing alarm. Specifically, we have watched with deep concern as Republican-led state legislatures across the country have in recent months proposed or implemented what we consider radical changes to core electoral procedures in response to unproven and intentionally destructive allegations of a stolen election. Collectively, these initiatives are transforming several states into political systems that no longer meet the minimum conditions for free and fair elections. Hence, our entire democracy is now at risk. When a democracy breaks down, it typically takes many years, often decades, to reverse the downward spiral. In the process, violence and corruption typically flourish, and talent and wealth flee to more stable countries, undermining national prosperity. It is not just our venerated institutions and norms that are at risk, it is our future national standing, strength, and our ability to compete globally. Democracy rests on certain elemental institutional and normative conditions. Elections must be neutrally and fairly administered. They must be free of manipulation. Every citizen who is qualified must have an equal right to vote, unhindered by obstruction. And when they lose elections, political parties and their candidates and supporters must be willing to accept defeat and acknowledge the legitimacy of the outcome. The refusal of prominent Republicans to accept the outcome of the 2020 elections and the anti-democratic laws adopted or approaching adoption in Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Montana, and Texas, and under serious consideration in other Republican-controlled states, violate these principles. More profoundly, these actions call into question whether the United States will remain a democracy. As scholars of democracy, we condemn these actions in the strongest possible terms as a betrayal of our precious democratic heritage. The most effective remedy for these anti-democratic laws at the state level is federal action to protect equal access of all citizens to the ballot and to guarantee free and fair elections. Just as it ultimately took federal voting rights laws to put an end to state-led voter suppression laws throughout the South, so federal law must once again ensure that American citizens' voting rights do not depend on which party or faction happens to be dominant in their state legislature, and that votes are cast and counted equally, regardless of the state or jurisdiction in which a citizen happens to live. This is widely recognized as a fundamental principle of electoral integrity in democracies around the world. In 2001, speaking in the House of Representatives, President W. Bush, said that Al-Qaeda hated what they see right here in this chamber, a democratically elected government. This is what we wanted to hear, because it meant that we were attacked because we were the good guys. That probably wasn't really what Al-Qaeda had in mind on 9/11, but it was what Americans had in mind on on January 6th. They stormed the very chamber in which President Bush spoke, and they were there to halt the procedures of a democracy. They were attacking precisely democratically elected government. I have the Cassandra feeling this spring because it is so obvious where all of this is heading. President Trump tells a big lie that elections are rigged. This authorizes him and others to seek power in extra democratic ways. The lie is institutionalized by state legislation that suppresses voting and that gives state legislatures themselves the right to decide how to allocate the electoral votes in presidential elections. No one is seeking to hide that this is the plan. It is right there out in the open. The prospective Republican candidates for 2024, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Josh Hawley, are all running on a big lie platform. If your platform is that elections do not work, you are saying that you intend to come to power some other way. The big lie is designed not to win an election, but to discredit one. Any candidate who tells it is alienating most Americans and is preparing a minority for a scenario where fraud is claimed. This is just what Trump tried in 2020, and it led to a coup attempt in January 2021. It will be worse in January 2025. 9/11 led us to the invasion of Iraq, the foreign policy disaster that marked our century. January 6th leads us to a catastrophe on that scale, but inside our own country. It is not at all clear that the plan to take power undemocratically will work, but it is clear that it will generate a lot of resistance. African Americans are right now being told the absurd lie that the problem in America is that it is too easy for them to vote. As the scenario plays out, all Americans will face an open denial of everything they have been told about their country. It had become a Nazi objective to polarize the country and force the middle classes into a situation where they would have to choose between the right and the left. When Nazis positioned themselves as the defenders of the middle classes, of nationalism, and of Christian culture and religion, willing to confront the communists in the streets if necessary, the choice became easier for many citizens. That's how Nazi Germany came. Oh shit! That's how Nazi Germany came about. So live stream. I'm still there. Still there. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to dip out on you like there. All right. back to the program. Let's see what else we got here. So this is what happened in January 6th. A bunch of white supremacist insurrectionists tried to overthrow the American government and killed a bunch of police officers. Like indirectly, directly attacked at the very least. They harmed police officers in the attempt to murder Congress and stop the democratically elected government from taking over. They're traitors. They're traitors. They are traitors. There's an insurrection in this country. And a big part of that insurrection is led by the fact that people believe in QAnon conspiracies. But if you look here, who are the people who most believe in QAnon? It's mostly white evangelical Protestants or Hispanic Protestants. Protestants. More. That's weird. Mainline. So it's the evangelicals you gotta watch out for. Newsmax panel melts down over a high school student saying Allah during the Pledge of Allegiance. It's un-American, it's unpatriotic, and it's quite frankly upsetting. One nation under Allah. So Newsmax is angry that a Muslim student used his native language to refer to God. Because Allah is the same God, is the same God as Jehovah, is the same God as Yahweh, right? Jews and Christians and Muslims, all one big happy family, remember? Wait a minute, it's getting dark. It's getting dark. Need to go safety first. Ow! Stupid Enderman. See what I mean? I wasn't even looking at you, dude. Why'd you get mad at me? Ooh, I'm almost dead too. Look at that. He wrecked me. All right, but I'm still alive. I'm still here. Zombies and monsters and pillagers. Oh my. What's up, pillager? Oh, I missed. I got him. Oh, no, I didn't. But there's a zombie right here who wants to play. Okay. Anyways. So, if you go to France and you say, "Hey, French person, who do you worship, French person?" And the French person, moi j'aime beaucoup mon Dieu, oh mon Dieu, mon Dieu. And Newsmax would be like, "Flash! Everyone look at the French!" Oh shoot! He killed me. If I wasn't holding that thing, he would have killed me. That pillager would have murdered me. Oh man. See, it's dangerous just to be hanging outside. I gotta be like in my mind. All right. So Newsmax would be like, "Oh, the French people, they worship something called Dieu. They worship a soda in France. They worship Mountain Dew in France." Newsmax. Newsmax thinks French worship Mountain Dew. Mon Dieu. Oh, mon Dieu. All right. Dude, I'm bummed out. This is a very good cartoon. So, critical race theory says Emmett Till was murdered and lynched and protected by the justice system. Republican race theory doesn't want you to talk about this. Oh, this is actually a good point. So that's the thing so basically Republican race theory is just denial. So that's a really good point. Let me see if I can grab everything I need. I'm all out of sorts now that my sound is all messed up. It kind of wrecked me. All right. So imagine you have race theory, right? Here's race theory. Race theory is real, right? There's a thing called race theory. It exists. Here's your race theory. It's there. It's there. That's race theory. Where do you see critical race theory? I will show you critical race theory. Do you want to see critical race theory? Critical race theory is right here. The shadow that you see right here, that's critical race theory. without race theory, there is no critical race theory, right? You can't have, like, if you have no race theory, where's your critical race theory? You need your race theory to have your critical race theory. Critical race theory is the shadow to race theory. There is no critical race theory without race theory. If you take away race theory, critical race theory disappears. Do you see? It's the same thing with Marxism. How come in 2021 people are still talking about Marx? There's still university classes dedicated to Marx. People still reading Marx. Why is Marx still relevant in 2021? Like, I thought everyone disproved Marx. I thought Marx's predictive value was destroyed. Well, yeah, I don't think, no one seriously believed Marx's predictive value, that Marx had predictive value. Marx was an analysis. Marx is a critique. It's a critique of capitalism. That's why Marx hasn't gone anywhere. Marx doesn't go anywhere because capitalism doesn't go anywhere. Marx is a critique of capitalism. So as long as capitalism is there and capitalism hasn't changed, right, all of Marx's critiques of capitalism are going to still be there, right? Look at, as long as capitalism is there, Marx is going to be there. Marxism is going to be there. As long as race theory is there, critical race theory is going to be there. You cannot get rid of critical race theory by covering it up with more race theory. Because look at, you just make another shadow. The only way, if your goal is to really get rid of critical race theory, the only way to get rid of critical race theory is to get rid of race theory. If you get rid of race theory, there's nothing to criticize. And it's not there anymore. So if you want to be Platonic about it, Plato, think of critical race, or think of race theory as their idea. This is their idea. Race theory. And when you put it out into the light of the sun, of the good, because you have to judge it, right? The only way you can see this concept of race theory, if you don't look at the material of it, if you don't look at the material aspect of it, you're like, don't like this, pretend this structure here is made entirely out of ideas, just points, right? Of race theory. White people are inherently, according to the tenets of race theory, white people are inherently superior. There's a natural hierarchy. To violate this natural hierarchy is an affront to God, and God is the form of the good. Okay. So let's judge it then. So let's put out your structure and put it into the form of the good. So their structure, we're not right now because the sun's right over it, but when it goes over, it's going to make a shadow. Well, the clouds are kind of wrecking it. And that shadow that it makes, that their structure makes, is the material reality of their structure. So they say all these things, but that's just the idea of it. When we look at the material conditions, that's the shadow. So to go back to the cartoon. This is race theory. That according to race theory, white people are superior, and there's a natural God-given structure to violate it is wrong. So, and to critique it, to criticize it is wrong, because to try to upset it is wrong. You can't question it. It's God-given that white people are superior according to Republican race theory. So for them, you can't ever question the material. Whatever comes out of it is not to be questioned. You can't look at it. Republicans say you can't look at what comes out of their race theory. Critical race theory says you look at the material reality of what comes out of your ideas. That's what you look at. You don't look at the ideas. You look at the critical. You look at the material conditions, and then you see how they connect to those ideas. And you say that it's a reflection. It's a shadow. It's a shadow. Your idea ain't so hot because look at the big ass shadow it creates. Sure, like it looks good for you, but this shadow falls on a whole bunch of people, and they are blocked from the goodness. They are blocked from the goodness. Your idea is terrible. But you don't want to look at where the shadow goes. You only want to look at the idea. And that comes back to the contradiction within fascism. Marx says that inside every structure is its own contradiction. I mean, fascism doesn't really have contradictions, I guess. I don't know, because it's not coherent. It's not cohesive. Like, it's not anything. It'll be whatever it needs to be to get power. Look at these guys. They all got like tridents. It's so much easier to get tridents in Bedrock than it is in... Oh, look at that. That's a axolotl. Nice, dude. What's up, buddy? Under the sea. Under the sea. Hello, my little friend. So fascists have their idea that the world is structured sort of like that. Pyramid. They have this idea that and this is the only form it can take. So that this is the only place that you could have goodness, according to them. So that they are unable to see goodness in anything else unless it's in this form. So if you take an athlete, like, I think her name is Simone Biles. She's like the greatest gymnast ever. She's like the greatest gymnast ever right now. Like, she has a move called the Biles. It's like a move that no one's ever done, that she's the only person who can do it. That she's done it. And it's amazing, like, what a height of excellence to show American excellence. Like, how amazing is that? But if you look at the news, you don't see a whole lot of news coverage about it. But there's a whole bunch of news stories about some white YouTube dude named Logan Paul, who's famous because he filmed himself committing crimes during the George Floyd protests. He filmed himself looting during the George Floyd protests. That's why he's famous. And they have a whole bunch of stories about him, but no one wants to talk about Simone Biles doing the most amazing gymnast move ever. Why? Because Simone Biles is black, a black woman. And that's a form of excellence that is unacceptable to white supremacy. White supremacy can't look at it. Can't look at it. It won't even acknowledge it. And that's why white supremacy is weak. That's why it's weak. Like, Werner Jaeger, he was all about it. Like, he went back and forth. He outlined how each class, each group that took power had within them their own internal contradiction. Come on. I made it safe. Ooh, Nautilus shell. I'll take the Nautilus shell. So the nobles, the aristocracy, they lost power because they were unable to adapt their view of excellence. They felt that excellence was only found in the blood, and that they kept old rigid forms, which, you know, over time new forms came about that were like also excellent, but they were unable to accept them because it fell outside of their perspective. And so, yeah, they were supplanted. You know, the aristocracy was supplanted by a merchant class. And the merchants, they fell eventually because they were unable to accept that that you had to have excellence, that you couldn't supplant excellence with money. You couldn't replace excellence with money. You still needed excellence. Like, just because you had money and power doesn't mean like a whole lot. You still need to be excellent to survive. And that means the aristocracy had a point, you know, had some points that were worth saving. Same thing with the fascists nowadays. Fascists are unable, white supremacists are unable to see excellence in anything other than their very, very, very narrow view, which means they can be easily outplayed because their viewpoint is so narrow. Like, they just can't see anything. Taxes paid by billionaires. Warren Buffett owns 24 billion. Oh, you know, it grew. His wealth grew by 24 billion. Damn it. He only reported 125 million. He paid 23 million taxes. He paid 0.1% of his true tax rate. Legally, because that's the law. Jeff Bezos, his wealth grew by 99 billion, almost 100 billion in 1 year. He reported 4.2 billion. He paid 973 million. His true tax rate is 0.9%. Michael Bloomberg grew by 22 billion. He reported 10 billion. He paid 292 million, a tax rate of 1.3%. Elon Musk grew by 13 billion. He reported 1.5 billion, and he paid 455 million, 3.2% tax rate. I made like less than 50,000 a year, and my true tax rate was something like 13%, which meant I pay more in taxes than billionaires. Like, I pay a higher tax rate than billionaires. Why? That's the stupidest thing ever. Remember the marginal utility of money? Money has marginal utility. Your first $100 means a lot more to you than the $100 you make after you've already made $1 million. After you've already made $1 million, another $100 doesn't mean a whole lot to you. But if you have nothing and you get $100, it changes your whole world. It's the same thing here. We should be taxing billionaires because they don't need all that extra money. I shouldn't be paying more taxes, a higher tax rate than billionaires, because I have less money. Taking money away from me hurts me a lot more than it does a billionaire. I shouldn't be paying more in a tax rate than a billionaire. That's just crazy. All right. So here's another perspective we have to think about. This is a world we have to start imagining, because our old like flat map world isn't really valid anymore because of climate change. Anymore, there's not going to be any more sea ice here. So this is going to be a real important area because ships are going to be able to use this all the time. Like before, it was all covered in ice, so no one could use it. Like most of the year, it was iced over, so no one could use it. But because of global warming, there's no ice here anymore, so everyone's going to use it. Also, because of global warming, the upper latitudes are going to come into play. So we got to look at the world map in a different way now. Right? So we got USA right here. You got Canada right there. You can see why Trump wanted Greenland, because it's got it's all about the Arctic Ocean. You got Europe kind of there. You got like Norway pretty exposed, and then all this Russia. Russia's all about the Arctic Ocean, dude. They got like half of it. It's kind of scary. And then little tiny England here, because Ireland is going to reunify and join the EU. Scotland is going to break off here and join the EU. So it's going to be England. England and Wales. Da, 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 da. And all these other guys. Oh boy. Yeah, what a victory for Putin, dude. Putin managed to break up the EU, or break up the UK. What a victory for Putin. That was amazing what he did there. I mean, amazingly bad for us, but like he did it. Like, well, the Brits did it to themselves. I'm not gonna lie, right? They have their own agency, but I'm pretty sure that Putin helped them choose to break up and weaken themselves. All right. I'm tired. I feel a little messed up because I had difficulties with audio, but live and learn, right? All right. Next time, I'm just gonna peace out for now. I hardly got to read any of my book. I read it, but like I have to read it again and see how I can build it. But at the same time, I'm trying to establish a base here so I can start building stuff. Because like, I haven't even established anything yet. So, all right. Until next time, PoGokeRo out.